If earning money is a game, why did nobody ever teach you the rules? Think about it. You spent years in school. You learned formulas, dates, poems, theories, but nobody sat you down and said, here is how money actually moves. Here is how your mind, your emotions, and your skills quietly decide if you stay stuck or become free. So you entered adult life like most people do. You get a job, you trade hours for a fixed salary, and you assume this is just how life works. Work, pay bills, wait for the next month. Maybe a raise one day if you are lucky. Inside, something feels wrong. You see people earning 10, 20, 100 times more than you. Their day still has 24 hours. They are not from another planet. So what is happening? Are they cheating? Are you cursed? Or are you simply playing a game without understanding the mechanics? Let us look at money the way an engineer looks at a machine. Calm, precise, without shame. First, you need to see your current pattern. Most people are what I call time traders. They give 1 unit of time, they get 1 unit of money. If they stop working, the money stops. If they get sick, the money slows. If they are afraid to ask for more, the money stays the same for years. Inside the time trader, there is a specific emotional architecture, a low background fear that says, do not risk, a belief that says, I am lucky to have anything, and a quiet shame that whispers, who am I to want more? This system produces the same results again and again. End of the month stress, tiny savings that disappear with one emergency, secret envy when they see someone doing better. If this is you, understand something important. You are not broken. You are just running a money program that was installed in you without your permission. Maybe as a child you heard things like, money does not grow on trees, rich people are selfish. We are not that kind of family. Do not talk about money. It is rude. These sentences became code in your subconscious, so when you grow up and try to play bigger, the old program quietly pulls you back. You hesitate to ask for a higher salary. You undercharge for your skills. You stay small in rooms where you should expand. From the outside, it looks like laziness or confusion. From the inside, it is just programming. Now look at another type of player in the money game. Not perfect, not superhuman, just someone who decided to study the rules. This person also started as a time trader, but at some point they noticed the pattern. They saw that working harder did not automatically mean earning more. They saw people doing the same job for very different incomes. And instead of saying life is unfair, they asked a different question. What exactly am I being paid for? This question is the beginning of awakening in the money game. If you look closely, you will find one simple truth. You are not paid for your time. You are paid for the value your time creates for others. 2 people can work 8 hours. One creates average results anyone can replace. The other creates outcomes that are rare, important, or difficult to duplicate. The second person becomes more valuable, not as a human being, but in the marketplace. The world pays more where it feels more impact. So the awakened money player starts to focus on 3 things. What real problem do I help solve? How good am I at solving it? How replaceable am I? You do not need to become famous. You do not need to start a giant company, but you do need to become serious about your skill. Think of this as inner and outer training. Outer training is obvious. You study, you practice, you get better at something useful. Inner training is more subtle. You work with the parts of you that panic when opportunities appear. Because here is another rule of the money game. Your nervous system is your real income ceiling. You might say you want more money. You might dream of a bigger life. But if, deep inside, your body associates money with danger, judgment, or rejection, you will unconsciously sabotage chances to grow. Maybe you finally get offered a bigger role, and you suddenly feel sick and say no. Maybe you have a great idea but never press upload, never send the message, never knock on the door. Maybe you start something new, feel uncomfortable for 2 weeks, and then run back to your old safe struggle. From the outside, this looks irrational. From the inside, it is pure logic. Your system believes, at this level I survive. Anything beyond this level is unknown, therefore unsafe. So if you want to change your money reality, you cannot only change your budget or your job, you must change your emotional architecture around money. How do you do that? You start with awareness. Instead of judging yourself every time you feel fear around money, you observe. You notice what happens in your body when you check your bank account. You notice the stories that appear when you think about asking for a raise. You notice how you talk about rich people, about your own family, about your future. Write it down, not to torture yourself, but to see the code. You may discover patterns like, if I earn more, people will expect more. If I become successful, my family will reject me. If I have money, I will lose my spirituality. If I try and fail, I will prove that I am not good enough. These are not facts. They are lines of old code. Once you see them clearly, they start to lose some of their power. Next, choose a new game on purpose. Ask yourself, if money is a game, what part do I want to play? Do I want to stay forever as a time trader? Or do I want to slowly move into being a creator of value, a designer of systems, someone who earns even when they are not physically present every minute? This does not have to be dramatic. You do not need to quit everything overnight. You can start small, like an experiment. Maybe you have a skill you take for granted, helping people understand complex things, creating beautiful visuals, organizing chaos, fixing technical problems, listening deeply and reflecting. The unconscious player says, that is nothing. Everyone can do that. The awakened player asks, who needs this? What problem does this solve? How can I practice this until I am undeniably good? From here you can do something very simple and very powerful. You add one small new stream of value to your life. Offer a paid session, create a tiny product, collaborate with someone on a project. Voluntarily take on a challenge at work that stretches you and proves your higher value. Do not focus first on huge money. Focus on the feeling of earning, even a little differently, not just for time, but for impact. This begins to rewire your identity. You stop seeing yourself only as an employee or a victim of the system. You begin to see yourself as a player, a designer, a conscious participant. And as your actions change, your emotions shift too. The first time you charge for your skill, you may shake. Your body is not used to this frequency. That is okay. You breathe through it. You let your nervous system learn that this new level is survivable. The second time, the fear is a little less. The 10th time, your system starts to accept. This is normal now. This is what we do. This is emotional training. This is nervous system engineering. Without it, all the financial advice in the world sits on top of fear and collapses. There is another layer to the money game, and it is deeply spiritual. Money itself is neutral. It does not love you. It does not hate you. It simply flows toward value, trust, and structure. How you relate to money, however, shows you your inner world, your scarcity, your greed, your generosity, your self-worth, your unconscious guilt. All of it appears in the way you earn, spend, save, and give. If you avoid looking at money, it is usually because it mirrors something you do not want to see in yourself. If you chase money obsessively, it often means you are running away from an emptiness you have not yet listened to. An awakened relationship with money is not about worshiping it or rejecting it. It is about using it as a teacher. You notice when you grab from fear. You notice when you undercharge from low self-worth. You notice when you spend just to numb pain. And you notice when you use money consciously to invest in skills, in health, in freedom, in things that align with your soul. Slowly, money stops being a monster or a god. It becomes feedback. It tells you where your boundaries are weak. It tells you where your courage is asleep. It tells you how much the world currently feels your value. That feedback can be painful at first, but remember, pain is information. It is not a final judgment on your destiny. So if your situation right now is tight, do not collapse into the story. I am doomed. See it as a starting report. This is what my current programming and skills have created. Now, what can I learn? What can I practice? What tiny experiment can I run to start shifting this? You are not late. You are not less than others. You are just earlier in the game than you imagined. Most people will live and die as unconscious players, trading time, resenting the system, afraid to look inside. You do not have to live like that. You can become the calm, awake player who learns the rules, who trains their skills, who upgrades their emotional architecture, who treats money not as a measure of their worth, but as a tool to express their values. In the end, the real question is not, how much can I earn? The real question is, who do I become while I learn to earn? Do I become bitter, rigid, afraid, or do I become more aware, more responsible, more aligned? If you are listening to this, it is because some part of you is already tired of playing blind. It wants to understand the mechanism. It wants to step out of automatic scarcity and into conscious creation. That part of you is not greedy. It is awake. So remember this, gently. Earning money is a game. You were never properly taught the rules. That is not your fault. But now you are beginning to see the board. You are starting to see your old code. And as you keep watching, learning, and experimenting, you will not just make more money. You will build a new inner architecture, one where you can look at your life, your work, your bank account, and say, this is not an accident. This is my training. This is my design. And the game is only just beginning.